Hello, Christ Church. I'm coming to you this week, excited that we are taking another step forward in our movement towards regathering together as a church. And this Sunday, the new step that we're taking is we're moving from outside in the parking lot back into our sanctuary. We're gonna have three services at 8:45, 10 o'clock, and 11:15. And so I just wanted to take a few moments just first to say a few pastoral words about us gathering together and coming back into the sanctuary, and then just also a few details about what you can expect and things that you need to know to be a part of this worship service. And what I'd like to first say is it has just struck me during this time during COVID, and we've had so much isolation and so much disruption in our church life, is how important it is for us to be gathered together as the gathered people of God, as the body of Christ. We are a body, a physical body. And throughout the New Testament, Christians are gathering together. They're called the body of Christ. And we are a body that through all this, we must feel that we are atrophied. There is a weakness that has come to us, and we need strengthening as a community. And I think that for those of you who have already come to our outdoor services, short but full worship services, we have the Word and the Sacrament, you've experienced how just seeing people and being together and worshiping together, how important that is for our souls and for our psychological life and our emotional life and our communal life, how important that is. And, it was alarming to me to think about how over the last 5 months, all across our land, churches have been empty on the Lord's Day. There haven't been these gatherings of worship. And of course, we know that even COVID falls within the careful and wise providence of our God. But we can't help but think that the evil one is pleased to see all those churches empty. And it must be his desire to somehow extend that as long as possible to halt Christians lovingly gathering and worshiping the God that they love. And worship is really at the heart of our mission as a church, to proclaim the excellencies of God. Worship is so important. And at the beginning of COVID, I did a video like this, and it was just an offhand comment. I said, I'm kind of planning that we're going to be doing this for maybe 5 months. And it just struck me a couple weeks ago that it's been 5 months. And what I feel deep in my heart is that it's time for us to continue to move and take steps towards, uh, you know, the essential things of our spiritual life together as Christians. And at the heart of that is worship. And you might ask, well, does that mean that it's time for us to throw off all restraint and throw off all safety and just go back to normal life? That's not what I'm saying. But COVID is going to be a part of our lives probably for a long time. At least the next year. It's going to be affecting our community. And what I'm saying is that we have paused on worship long enough, and now we need to figure out how to do our mission as a church in the midst of this COVID season. And this is, I think, the next important step. And so I want to communicate in this video that it is important that as the people of Christ, that we are gathered together. I want us to feel how important that is. And you might need to fight a little, to be intentional, to regather after such a long season. I'm not doing that. I know some of you have already been gathering outside, but many of you haven't. And so let me speak to a few different groups in our church. First of all, some of you are excited and can't wait to be worshiping together back in our building. And so for those of you, I'm excited to worship with you, and I can't wait to see you. I know that some of you might also, you might say, I'm too vulnerable to risk moving into a gathering like that in a building. And if that's you, I want you to know that you should not feel any guilt about guarding your safety, and it's certainly not a sin to stay at home. We're going to, instead of having video services like we've been creating earlier in the week that we release on Saturday or Sunday, we're now going to be live streaming the 10 a.m. service. So that's probably going to be somewhat of a learning curve as we learn to do that, but you'll be able to watch at home. You're also welcome to come to the parking lot if you want to say, I want to be gathered with uh, God's people, and you could even bring the sacrament, and you could tune in on your FM radio. You're free to do that, and we'd encourage you to do that. And maybe you can't do that every week, but you come some weeks and just say, I need to just remind myself that I'm a part of this community. So, third, though, some of you may have fears about gathering into a sanctuary, and really, you do need to trust God. Maybe that's the challenge that you need is to trust God. And I want you to know that there's a lot of care being given to this being a safe place of worship. We want as many people as possible to be able to gather. And so we encourage you to turn to the Lord, pray to him, and trust him because he loves you. The last group that I want to speak to is that some of you maybe have gotten comfortable worshiping at home. And I know that initially, worshiping with my family on Sundays, I never get to worship really with my family on Sundays because I'm always working, and we had breakfast together. It was like, hey, I kind of like this. But I soon saw the effect that it was having on me. And, I'm a pretty social person. I was already seeing the anxiety that was starting to happen within me about seeing other people, kind of a new social anxiety. And by not gathering together, it changes us and it affects us. And it's important for us to realize that when Jesus came, Jesus did not come on a TV screen. He came in the flesh. And so Christians have always cared about embodied gathering of worship, embodied love for one another, embodied worship of our God. And so it's important if you sense that, I'm getting kind of comfortable. What's the big deal? I watch it on the screen. And what is that really that different than coming to the church? Absolutely it is. This is the place where God meets with his children. And so I'd urge you to come. And so lastly, I just want to, in terms of these pastoral words, I just want to reiterate that we have a mission as God's people. And the central engine of that mission is our gathered worship. And that mission has not stopped with COVID. And in fact, we believe that God has purposes that he wants to be doing during the season in our community. And who knows what he's doing. And so it's so important that we're gathered together as his people. So that's my charge to you. Come and worship and be here this Sunday and make that a part of your routine. Make sure to register. Make sure to get here. Now, just a few details that I want to give. First of all, we're going to have 3 services, 8:45, 10 o'clock, and 11:15. Again, the 8:45 service, the first service is for elderly or immunocompromised or anyone who feels especially anxious about COVID. This service is reserved for you. In the sanctuary, we can only have 75 people at a time. We are putting chairs. We put chairs in the lobby, so we have an overflow for people who have not registered. They can still come and gather together in the lobby. And so you'll need to, if you're going to be in the sanctuary, you'll need to register beforehand. So there's going to be email that'll go out with a form, and you pick what service you're going to be a part of. And when you come in, you'll say, "Yeah, I registered," and they'll just kind of keep track of how many we have. So the first thing we have 3 services. The second thing is that these services are going to be shortened. 45-minute services. It's probably a 20-minute sermon. We're going to have less songs. There's going to be no congregational prayer. We don't have childcare, but we welcome kids. We want kids here. So that's why we're going to have a shortened service to the kids and even the little ones. We know they'll make a little bit of noise, and that's okay. It's important for us to be gathered as God's family, so it's a shortened service. The third thing is that, again, we're asking you to bring your own communion elements. And also bring, if you want some kids' notes for your kids, maybe bring those. We're not going to have those available like we normally do. And we will have the little communion cups with the wine and the wafer on top, that if you forget your elements, we will have that. So we're not going to come forward to receive the elements. We'll remain seated and do the communion like we've been doing it out in the parking lot. A fourth thing is that face coverings are going to be required during to be a part of the indoor worship service. The governor's guidelines for worship services says this, that all employees, members, and visitors in attendance shall wear face coverings before, during, and after the service, whether indoor or outdoor. And our elders have been talking about that. And so at least for now, have decided that we're going to follow these guidelines, and masks will be required in the service, except those that are leading the service, whoever's preaching or leading the music, will not be wearing masks as they lead. And so we want as many people to be able to come and gather as possible. Lastly, there will be another video coming out later this week where Matt Boffey is going to walk through the sanctuary, so you can kind of see beforehand what to expect when you get here. And so I know some of you will want some more details about how things will work. Hopefully, he will answer those in that video. So, friends, I can't wait to be with you all. I'm excited that the direction the Lord is leading us, and to see us all gathered together. So I love you so deeply, and I hope for this season to be over soon. And I also pray that the Lord would work. The Lord would gather new people that don't know Jesus, to come be a part of our community. And so I look forward to seeing you on Sunday.